Act 3 has just launched, the final act of Episode 1, and with it comes a new exotic mission, and in that mission comes Choir of One, a special ammo auto rifle firing at 225 RPM. Our current slowest auto rifles fire at 360 RPM, making this more of a faster firing scout rifle than an auto rifle. It has 4 main quirks. Number 1 is that when you aim down sights, your precision damage is increased. Pretty simple. Number 2 is that when you hipfire the weapon, you shoot 5 shots at once in a plus sign formation, and the bullets travel very slowly. They're now projectiles, similar in a way to how a wyvern shoots their weapons at you. The bullets explode on impact. Number 3 is where rapid kills will trigger a radiolaria pool to spawn, subsequently hurting everything nearby. And number 4 is that it's craftable. The 3 perks you can eventually put on this weapon when you collect their catalysts are Subsistence, Destabilizing Rounds, and Onslaught. Within the first 5 minutes of using this, I knew that this wasn't going to be a matter of, is this a good weapon? But rather, how good of a weapon is this? It fits within the realm of the trace rifle, in that it's a primary style weapon that uses special ammo. However, unlike a standard exotic or legendary trace rifle, I actually feel like I could use this as a primary weapon for long periods of time without feeling like I'm going to rip through all of my ammo unless I'm intentionally trying to do so. The weapon kind of feels like if you combined Cerberus +1 and like Graviton Lance or something, at least when you're getting rapid kills, which will not be terribly hard to do. However, the biggest reason I think this weapon is good is because of its versatility. Anytime we get a weapon in the game that is very good at multiple things, it tends to get on people's radars, and this is not an exception. I used Quicksilver Storm almost exclusively for a year because of its versatility. You get a primary style damage dealer in the gun itself when you're aiming down sights, but you also get the versatility of a burst damage weapon with its hipfire. This allows you to burst down bigger threats faster than you would normally be able to with any other kind of primary weapon, and I'll show some examples of this in action soon. However, while this is one of its biggest strengths, it's also one of its biggest weaknesses. Hipfire is generally a good way to finish off enemies that are low HP, and with any other primary, that's not a big deal. With this weapon, a hipfire costs 5 shots and it's special ammo, so it's a very big cost. I would maybe try to have an unbound melee on hand if you plan on using this weapon so that you waste as little of your ammo as possible, although it's still going to happen where you hipfire just from instinct. It's also not a terrible idea to use special ammo armor mods of any kind, or even scavenger mods, to keep your ammo high. Also, when it comes to the hipfire, it isn't exactly the most reliable at range. You either need a massive target, or it needs to not move at all in order to reliably hit anything outside of the 10 to 15 meter range with all of the pellets. Essentially, as long as you're using it like a shotgun, you should be fine. Anything outside of that is at your own risk. When it comes to what to pair with this weapon, I think it's a bit of a tough call. I don't think I can give just a blanket suggestion on what to use all the time. It kind of varies. Again, this weapon has the problem that trace rifles do. Am I going to pair this with another primary weapon and be in some sort of weird double primary but not double primary situation, or am I going to do double special but I have to split my ammo with my other special weapon? Unlike trace rifles though, you can absolutely use Choir of One as a typical special weapon if you wanted to. It has that flexibility. I don't know if it's personally what I'm doing, but you totally could if you wanted. I ran more with double special and just monitored my ammo very closely, and I ran with a machine gun to act as another primary weapon to farm ammo back up when I needed it. I also only used my other special weapon, a fusion rifle in this case, when I actually felt like I needed it, so I was a bit more picky about my engagements, as falling behind on ammo can be pretty not fun. So, obviously this thing is going to crush low-level content, some mid-tier content. How does it actually perform in content that provides the tiny bit of resistance that it does? well, pretty good actually. The first thing I did was take it for a spin in a legend or advanced, what is it? Whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about. And in one magazine of a Hipfire with Radiant, it was killing champions outright, if not getting extremely close. I realized the boss in this particular lost sector doesn't have a ton of health. It still died in 2 magazines of Hipfire. On Master, it wasn't exactly the same scenario, but it was pretty close. Bursting down champions took a little more than a mag's worth of damage, while the boss at the end took 3 magazines this time. I will say that you only get 10 magazines worth of burst at maximum, unless you use reserve mods, which you probably won't. So, sure, 2 here, 3 there, sounds like no big deal, but the more aggressively you're using this thing to kill champions, the more you're going to need to monitor your ammo. In Grandmaster content, it actually wasn't as potent at killing champions as I was anticipating, but its primary fire helps round out the weapon overall, enabling hard-hitting crits on beefier targets like knights, captains, wizards, high-tier red and orange bar enemies. I don't really plan on using the primary fire mode against too many champions though, at least not too often. The Hipfire is also great for 1 or 2 tapping orange bar enemies in a pinch. I might even work on a suspend build specifically to synergize with this weapon, since suspending and laying into a target is probably its best use case. I know I got a lot of comments about Gerfalcon's hunters wanting to try this out in their setups as well. Definitely something to consider. The catalysts are going to give you either subsistence, destabilizing rounds, or onslaught. Subsistence, to me, is the safest bet to make if you're looking for an overall perk to use, but destabilizing rounds is a buff away from being a potential winner. Although, I did get some questions about destabilizing's volatile proccing on the radiolaria pool, but in my mind, if you're in that kind of spot, most things around you are probably dead to the AoE in the first place, so we'll see. Onslaught seems pretty neat on this as well, but I don't see it a lot in the wild, and I think that's because people don't want to rip through their ammo super quickly on special and heavy weapons. Onslaught is a way to dump more ammo into a target faster, which is definitely a DPS increase. It's not like it's not, but you also need to stack it up on other enemies, and you need some way to maintain it, making it more of an ad clear perk, but on specials and heavies, I don't think you need to rip through your ammo that quickly in an average ad clear situation, unless you just want to. You know, like something like Killing Tally does enough. Now, because of its burst damage potential, I did want to do a little damage comparison between it and some other popular or similar options. I tested on the Ogre boss in Grasp, and the first thing I did was try out both modes of firing, ADS and Hipfire, to see what we were working with. These were pretty quick real-world tests, so don't invest your life savings into these tests, but it should give you a rough idea of what to expect. All of these comparisons were done in a Well of Radiance so that I could survive, and with a loader reload mod, except for when I tested Outbreak Perfected. Oops. A damage phase lasts 30 seconds, so I worked with that time frame, give or take a second. In about 4 magazines worth of shooting aim down sights, I deal about 1 million damage. I did have an accidental hipfire, and I didn't quite get through the last mag, but it was pretty close. Obviously not a perfect simulation. I missed a few crits because of the aggro that I had, but I was in similar conditions for most other tests. Next, we have the burst mode Hipfire test, where I hit 1.4 million damage in about 8.5 magazines worth of shooting, although it did take me a couple of seconds to actually start shooting. This shouldn't really come as a huge surprise when it comes to damage though. We're ripping through way more of our ammo much faster, which is going to give us more DPS in the short term, but the moment we run out of ammo, it's over. Whereas the aim down sights damage is less DPS, but will give us more total damage over the long term. Next, I tried out an Outbreak solo, just me, with rewind rounds, and I clocked in at about 840,000 damage. pretty close to the aim down sights damage of Choir, but keep in mind that this is a primary weapon, and I did not have any help stacking the nanites, and I didn't have that reload mod, so this could have gone a little bit higher. Next, we tried out Euphony, which is the raid exotic from Salvation's Edge, a linear fusion rifle. I realize we're talking about two completely different types of weapons, a linear fusion versus an auto rifle, but they are both special ammo using weapons. In 18 shots, or 3 magazines worth of shooting, I managed to hit 1.75 million damage. In terms of total damage, I think Choir of One would eventually catch up in the aim down sights damage department, but it would take a significant amount of time to do so. Microcosm is my current go-to for the Witness and anything with a subjugator in it, so I wanted to see that next. I threw my super at a wall, and I used all of my ammo to hit 1.9 million damage. Someone in my chat suggested Merciless as another special ammo damage option, and after killing a Thrall to proc the perk, 19 shots deal about 1 million damage. About the same as my aim down sights Choir in much less time, but requiring a kill and requiring me to burn all of my ammo to do it. Finally, a trace rifle comparison. I took Coldheart for a spin, and I deal just over 800,000 damage in 3 magazines worth of ammo, which actually gives the edge to Choir, because I do more damage in the same time frame and use less ammo to do it. Again, these were not the end-all, be-all damage tests for Choir of One. Obviously, there's going to be some degree of variance between all of them based on me getting flinched or not hitting crits, but it's just to give you a vague idea of its damage capabilities versus other options. I don't know if it's becoming the next meta weapon or anything like that, but I will say the door is at least open for it if you're running rockets or a grenade launcher or something like that, and you have the ability to use another weapon for whatever sort of damage phase that you're in. That's all I have for you on Choir of One for now. Overall, I think this is a very good weapon. I don't know how meta-defining just yet. Obviously, with one day of playing around with it, it's kind of tough to come to any real conclusions. But I do see this weapon making it into some people's builds out there, and it's not really a weapon that I would be too upset at seeing in whatever content I might happen to be in. It's very versatile. It can be used pretty much anywhere. Some builds are going to be pretty happy with it. So, yeah, let me know how you're feeling about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.